President Trump says he's ready to meet Vladimir Putin in Budapest to talk ending the Ukraine war, hours after a very productive call and just before Zelenskyy walks into the Oval Office tomorrow, putting a NATO capital at the center of the most high-stakes diplomatic test of the year and raising the question everyone's asking. Is this the first real off-ramp or just more theater before the next turn on the battlefield? Here's what just dropped. On Truth Social, President Trump says he and Vladimir Putin agreed to meet in Budapest to talk about ending what he called an inglorious war, framing the sit-down as a chance to explore actual off-ramps rather than trade slogans. He's pairing that with an immediate Oval Office session with President Zelenskyy tomorrow, signaling that Kyiv is in the loop before anything concrete gets pushed forward. The White House isn't giving logistics yet. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says the call just wrapped and more details are coming. So right now, this is a powerful signal play. Stake out the venue, set the tone, and put allies and Moscow on notice that the U.S. is opening a lane for talks. Budapest isn't a random pin on the map. It's a NATO capital led by Viktor Orban, a leader who keeps one foot in Brussels and another in a cordial lane with Moscow, which makes it a stage designed to feel Western yet reachable for the Kremlin. Planting this meeting there signals two things at once: a nod to allies that the conversation is happening on their turf, and a test of whether a friendlier European backdrop can cool the temperature enough to talk ceasefires, prisoners, and guarantees without everyone posturing for the cameras. The timing matters too. Pairing the Putin announcement with an immediate Zelenskyy Oval Office sit-down says Ukraine is being briefed and positioned, not blindsided, and it raises the stakes for what tone emerges tomorrow. Does Kyiv see opportunity here, or traps hidden in the fine print? For now, there's no date, no agenda, just a loud marker in the ground. That tells you the real play today is narrative and leverage. Float the venue, frame the goal as ending an inglorious war, and make both Moscow and Europe react to Washington's opening move. Here's what's actually at stake if this meeting locks in. It would be the most direct U.S.-Russia channel on Ukraine in months, potentially resetting the pace for talks and testing whether any ceasefire contours can even be sketched without, collapsing under politics at home and pressure at the front. Kyiv is the pivot. Trump flagged that Zelenskyy comes into the Oval Office immediately, which signals Ukraine's voice is baked in before any draft ideas get legs. But it also means Kyiv has to decide fast whether to lean in or push back hard. There's still no date and no agenda, so today's impact is more signal than substance. The play is to float and end the war frame, measure Moscow's reaction, and gauge Allied appetite before anyone puts pen to paper. The risk-reward is sharp. If momentum builds, you get space to talk prisoners, security guarantees, and freeze lines. If it stalls, both sides go right back to leverage, sanctions, weapons, strikes, and the battlefield sets the terms again. Listen to the signals in the language. Calling the war inglorious isn't just color. It's a nudge toward an off-ramp narrative that audiences in Washington, Kyiv, and Moscow can all read without conceding ground on paper. Labeling. The phone call, highly productive, sets an expectation that something tangible might follow, even if it's just Sherpa-level meetings to test red lines before leaders lock themselves into a room. Pairing the Budapest announcement with an immediate Zelenskyy meeting is the choreography. Show the West that Ukraine is consulted, keep leverage on Moscow by hinting at options, and buy time to see how allies react before anything formal lands. The White House saying details soon is deliberate. Maintain flexibility, keep critics guessing, and preserve the option to scale up to a summit or quietly downgrade to staff talks if reactions turn ice cold. All of that means today's move is about shaping the field. Frame the stakes, prime the players, and see who blinks first when dates, formats, and preconditions hit the table. Watch the pressure points now, timing and format. Does this become a formal summit with cameras and flags, or a quiet scoping sit-down that lets both sides test ceilings without paying a political price up front? Preconditions. Are we talking ceasefire lines, prisoner swaps, security guarantees, sanctions relief sequencing, or just a feeler to see who's willing to move first and on what? Allied buy-in, NATO capitals will read Budapest as a stress test, supportive if Kyiv's At the center, wary if it looks like deals over Ukraine without Ukraine. The simplest tell will be the choreography in the next 72 hours. Do staff start blocking hotel floors in Budapest? Do Sherpas leak constructive notes? Does Kyiv signal guardrails or green lights? And does Moscow posture or soften? If those dials all turn the same direction, expect a date. If not, expect this to drop to working-level talks while everyone recalibrates leverage. Tomorrow is the first real readout. Zelenskyy in the Oval Office will tell us if Kyiv sees a narrow opening or flashing red lights. Watch his language on guardrails, long-range missiles, and any mention of conditions for talks. Expect cautious phrasing, constructive, further consultations, staff to follow up because no one wants to lock into details before allies weigh in and Moscow shows its hand. If Kyiv signals willingness to scope a ceasefire outline while protecting core demands, momentum builds. If not, this reverts to pressure. More air defenses, deeper strikes, tighter sanctions, and the battlefield sets the price of negotiation again. What this means for you right now. This doesn't end the war today, but it does open a lane that didn't exist yesterday. A direct U.S.-Russia contact with Ukraine looped in, staged on NATO ground, and framed around finding an off-ramp instead of trading speeches. The next moves are everything. The Zelenskyy readout, any hint of dates for Budapest, and how allies react when the guardrails hit paper. If those pieces align, momentum turns into a calendar invite. If they don't, expect the pressure toolkit to snap back on and the battlefield to keep writing the script until talks have real leverage behind them.